G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Daethstro, the Aussie Geek, and today we'll be looking at the Takara Legends 29 Wheelie. Now I know there is a large section of the community that does not like Wheelie. I am unfortunately not one of them. I actually quite like the character. I don't think he got quite enough, I suppose, character development in the original G1 series. He was no way in hell he was going to live up to Bumblebee and Spike. So having him with Daniel wasn't quite enough oomph there to put the two together. They weren't as focused on Daniel as much, personally, I think, as Bumblebee and Spike were. But of course, if you go by the 86 movie, then technically Hot Rod should have been Wheelie. He should have been the kid-friendly character, which of course didn't work because he became Rodimus Prime. So they substituted him for Wheelie. And I did have G1 Wheelie, but as with a lot of figures from the time, it disappeared into the ether. So here he is. He is a bit more colourful version of, I believe, the Titan's Return. I think it was Titan's Return Wheelie. So he's a lot more orange, whereas the other one was a bit more white in places. So he doesn't look too bad, honestly. He's got a little bit gappy and his arms are a bit wonky, and his feet are a bit short. But most of the figures at that time, honestly, even if you have a look at like Beachcomber and whatnot, they were a bit more stumpy than they really should have been. But this guy did come with a bonus figure and a manga that I have no clue where I put. He came with, don't get too excited, this head. Now, right now, my op shop blur body that has no gun, no shield, no head is currently occupying Goshooter, which is this guy. And we'll just wheelie off to the side for a moment. And that is just this guy. Now, I admit, up until about probably, up until about 5 minutes ago, I had no clue who Goshooter was. And as I found out, Goshooter is the police transmorph, no, I don't think that's the right word for it. But he's basically the police transformer in Master Force, which weren't actual Transformers till the end of the series. They would be occupied by a human. I don't know the name of the human character for this guy, because I never really watched Master Force, and the Japanese ones are iffy at best for me. I can't take them overly seriously. I want to watch Victory, because I know Godmaster might have been alright, but Headmasters was just, all matters are wrong. But yeah, so here's Goshooter, and he transforms as such. His head is backwards due to the way he plugs into Blur's body. So you're probably not going to be able to see. Thank you, Mr. Trucker. I hope you didn't hear any of that. But there he is, face, nicely painted. You know, these guys got a little bit extra paint and apps and whatnot due to them being under the Takara Legends banner. His head, as you can see, can do a full 360, can wobble side to side, look up tiny and not really look down. Arms can go forward that far. They can go that far, they can't go back. No, obviously no elbows or hands. Legs can go forward that far, they go back that far until you hit the head, and then of course the knees go back and forward. So there we go. So there is Goshooter, who's already out of focus. There we go. By the way, put in the comments if you would like me to do a review on, straighten the camera over a bit, on headless, weaponless, shieldless blur body that I found at the op shop. Let me know in the comments. So we'll get back to Wheelie. So yeah, he does look good. You know, the colours are a lot better than what the, I want to say Titan's Return. I really want to say Titan's Return. If I'm wrong, I'll let you know down the bottom of the screen, but if I'm right, obviously nothing's going to appear there. But he's alright, honestly. I haven't got the newer Wheelie, because as far as I'm concerned, this guy is pretty adequate for what I want. I did have a look at X-Transport's Ollie, but there were some things about that I didn't like, so maybe I'll just wait till Fans Toys does their take on a masterpiece Wheelie, because I don't think Takara is getting around to it anytime soon. So as for articulation, his head can do a full 360. It can look up if you use the transformation joint all the way back. Can't look down. Doesn't go side to side. Arms can do a full 360. They can go technically out that far, but you're also pulling it forward. Even though that is a ball joint, but it's the shoulder and the back of the car, and try to focus. We have bicep rotation due to the ball joint, and we have bend to there. Nothing at the wrist or the fingers. It's one piece. He can hold a gun if you want him to hold a gun. He does have waist rotation. He has no ab crunch. Legs can go out that far. He has a little bit of movement in his hip. He has a lot of movement at his knees, because once again we have another ball joint. Legs can go up that far until you start getting to transformation country, which requires that to be moved. He has no ankle tilt. He does have a slight molded in ankle tilt there. Feet don't go up or down. So there's that. You can move his knee covers if that's something you want to do. And I just popped his arm off. First time I've ever popped a joint off this guy. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. So let's get down to size comparison. I'm probably going to have to move the camera for this. But here he is with MP10. We'll just leave where it is. But as you can see, he comes up to basically Prime's knees. So there we go. Alright, let's get this guy into transformation mode. Of course, being the type of figure he is, we can take Goshooter and put him in here. Alright, now there is part of the transformation that I do slightly differently. Also, one piece I'll point out, which I find just sits better, but I'll get to that when we get to that. So first things what we're going to do is going to flip this down, and we're going to flip this up, and then come back here, and you see this sort of accordion it out. So all this folds out. Kind of actually does remind me of the leg movements of the original G1 figure, but still. We will turn it waist, I should say, not wrist, all the way around. We also want to flip the legs around, the lower legs that is, sort of. Thank you, vehicles. Alright, so we're going to flip this out and flip this up. So you might need to bend at the knee. That flips around, and that can come up and over. The same on this side. This is what I get for doing this way too early. Flip this around, give that a bit of a bend so that folds up. That folds around, line that up, and then these will tab together. One of the big problems with this figure is the tabbing points and the locking points that doesn't always sit perfectly flat. Alright, so we'll get this out of the way. We're going to rotate the arms, or the lower arms, like so. So we have all these tabs, and this is going to plug into here, which is basically where between the foot and the wheel piece there, as well as this tab, this, what do you want to call it, crab gripper thingy jiggy, is going to go over this tab. So in and on. Like I said, it doesn't hold very securely. So if you drop it, this guy's just going to sort of go everywhere. Try to get that in there without giving it away. There we go. Alright, so we're almost there. So you flip this up, and we're going to flip the head back. So it's going to rotate all the way around and just go into the groove so you see this. Alright, hopefully you saw that. It's kind of distracted. And then, and I'll do it how I saw, but basically this comes down and this sort of clips over, this sort of clips into those grooves. Now I have seen that you're supposed to put this down first and sort of lock that underneath these. I don't think I'll get it. Here we go. So just do that, push down, and then this comes down. But I find by doing that, I get this massive gap because this is supposed to slide properly in there, and it sort of ends up with this huge gap here. So personally, I think that's how it's supposed to look, but I don't like it. So all I do is get that flip back up, flip that down, so now that actually sits more properly in there, and then bring this down so it goes over the back of the window. You still get that gap, but it's a lot smoother and a lot cleaner in my opinion. So it's up to you, but that just looks a lot better to me. Because I don't even think there's actually no, there's not even a groove piece there. So, but that's how I do it. Just put that down first, bring that down so it just sits on the back, and you get a bit of a bump back here, but it seems proper because that just seems like something that would be on the top of the car, and everything else sort of fits in properly. Now, the last thing I do is you can sort of give this a bit more of a push, which brings Wheelie's head all the way through. Just give it a 180, and when you push it up, so it looks like his face is going into here. And now it actually looks like, and you can do this the other way, it looks like it's sort of a booster engine. So if you really want to, you could always just leave it the way it was and put it like that. So that's up to you how you want to do it. But honestly, I find that a lot more aesthetically pleasing than just simply having him with his head slightly up here, even though it's supposed to be around the other way. So honestly, it just seems better in my opinion. Just you can either put it like that or just leave it where it was, just twist the head around, and that looks like a jet booster. It feels like something Wheelie would have as he was flying down the roads on Quintessa. So that's up to you. And of course we can, if everything's flat, I haven't tried this for a while, so we'll give this a go. So flip this up, and you should be able to put, this is actually probably a good test of whether or not my little idea works, if I can even get him in. So there we go, so that sits in there, bring that down, yeah, honestly I think he sits in there a lot better. Obviously you can move his arms up to actually look like he's steering Wheelie, but yeah, that's up to you. And yes, there are things that are jutting out places. Like I said, he doesn't hold together really securely. And I suppose if you have different weapons or whatnot, you can put them in the different ports. That probably would fit a 5mm port, but I haven't really got any weapons or things near me to actually test that out. So he rolls rather nicely, and I find it rather interesting that, I don't know if you can see it, you might just be able to on the back, you have black in the back, but the wheels are semi-translucent. I don't know if you can really see that. Yeah, which I found was rather interesting. So yeah, so he does steer, although, like I said, he's a bit wonky because things don't entirely want to line up properly. But it is what it is, and that's completely out of focus. So let's size comparison him. Here he is with Windblade. So obviously nowhere near as long. Let me see if I can do this time without screwing up. No, I almost did it. Nowhere near as wide, and obviously he's not as tall. So there we go. All right, let's get this guy back to transformed. So we're going to flip this up. We're going to flip that out. We're going to get Goshooter out of the way. And we'll leave that the way it is. We can flip this out a little bit just to give it some room. And we can twist that head around. And we can pull out and unplug his arms. And we will, well, we'll do the legs first. So we're going to split all that apart. We're going to lift this out. We're going to rotate this around to the back, like so, and bring the knee out. So straight for the time being. Same on the other side, bring it out a little bit. Flip that around to the back. Flip this out and forward. Now obviously we're around the wrong way. So we're going to rotate it at the knee to get them around the right way. And we want to twist that pelvis around. So we have here, and now the Autobot logo is his butt. So then what we can do is we accordion this. Whoops. Sorry about that. So this is going to flip up into here, and then this is going to sort of come over here. So down and up. And then what we can do is we'll flatten that chest a little bit, and then these are going to plug into either side, like so. And then we can bring the arms down a bit, twist those forearms so we have those biceps. So we have him how he's supposed to look. And there is Takara Legends 29 Wheelie back in his robot mode. I was really humming and hawing whether or not to do this figure, when to do this figure, because I know there's not a lot of big Wheelie fans out there. But But hey, I've been doing, the odd bit of Masterpiece and a little bit more. So I thought, you know what, let's go back to simpler times for a real simple figure, a character that's, I don't even think is very big in the IDW or any of that. So, let me know in the comments if he's like a huge deal in IDW. I had such a hard time trying to read those comics. But if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this guy, what you think of this video. And if you want me to do a review on my op shop Blur. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.